Okay, so for anyone unfamiliar with Ys Origin, this game is a prequel to Ys 1, which was run earlier in the marathon, about 700 years in the past. So we have three characters in this game that all play a little bit differently. Um, there's Unica, who is sort of an axe fighter. My good pal Tsukibaka ran her 80% category for the marathon of that we did of the Ys series 2 years ago. There's Toal here, who we'll be playing as. He's sort of a close-range berserker type character, and then in the bonus modes, you can also do a time attack with Adol. He's not supposed to be in this game, and he has two variants in here. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I'm forgetting anyone here.
No, I think you've covered everything. I think that's all the content that this game has.
Mm-hmm. That's still pretty cool to be able to play as multiple... Okay, we're avoiding this guy because nobody except for, like, Delm, Dragon Dark, and, like...
I think that's it, really.
I think Losvy's done a couple runs on Hugo.
I think it's just because Losvy has demolished this game in every facet.
Alrighty, so to explain Total EX, when you beat the game as all three characters and then do a bunch of stuff in the arcade, you can unlock what is called Extra Mode, which Extra Mode has a couple of interesting little properties that we'll get into in the run. It functionally plays almost the same as a regular Toal speedrun, but, well, there's a couple of differences, and we'll elaborate on those. So, as is kind of par for the course, we run on easy difficulty. There's a lot of strats that are enabled by doing on the easy difficulty. It's not necessarily an easy run. I know some people prefer higher difficulties. Those don't actually mean a whole lot in this game as a speedrun, outside of, like, Nightmare for a couple of parts. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and begin. Time will start when I hit disable. Alrighty, 3, 2, 1, begin.
And cutscenes.
Yeah, about 2.5 minutes of them.
The best way to start your action RPG speedruns.
So, we met these two characters by the name of Rhea and Fina in Ys 1. They are actually goddesses of the world of Ys. In the story of this game, we kind of get to know the world of Ys a little bit more. Well, rather the world of Ys 1 prior to the state of Ys 1. Anyways, Toal himself is a member of the House Fact, which is a house of mages. He has a pipsqueak younger brother, but he realizes his younger brother has more potential than him, so he kind of goes off and does his own thing. His mentor gets killed in a fight with a bunch of demons, his mentor being Unica's father, Saltova, and and although he was spared, he realizes he needs more power, and so he sides with the villains of Ys Origin, actually, Dallas, Zava, and a few others. And
Which, if you watched that Typing of Ys showcase, some of these names will be very familiar.
It's kind of a good thing that was just before this run.
Yeah, that was very convenient.
Alright, so this is Dallas and Scrubs. I don't know, Dallas is the biggest scrub of them all, let's be real.
Yeah.
Anyways, he basically charged up this tower, which is called Dharm Tower, as we've seen in Ys 1. And he fired at the region of Ys, kind of knocking it to the ground and sending basically a squad into this tower. Toal sort of plays for the bad guys. His whole deal is he's forsaken his sword and now he fights with claws, and anything he kills he absorbs for energy, which is kind of effectively a way to say that he gets stronger. It's an elaborate explanation for experience points, I guess. Of course, none of the Darklings, which was what they're called, really trust Toal. But Toal's just like, hey, look behind you. So we're gonna go kill these guys. Delphi, you mind explaining the combat system of this game?
Yeah, so you have basic attacks, and you have jump attacks and lunge.
And they're dead.
Yep.
All right. So before we get to that, I just lunged into a corner there, and if you lunge out of the, you can actually clip slightly out of the arena, and this sets Toal's default position in this room a little bit north of where he should be. So that actually, it costs nothing to go for and saves about like 3/4 of a second on movement. And it looks really funny to have Zava hand Toal things from across the room.
My headcanon for it is she's kind of disgusted that you broke her puppets and just throws it to you from as far away as possible.
Yeah, she gives a dark crystal, which is really nice. It's one of the probably the greatest quality of life things this game has, is an easy way to teleport between save statues. So you're going to see very quickly that the fastest form of movement early on is lunging, and we're going to get a much quicker version of this very shortly.
Yeah. To quickly just continue with that explanation, his basic attack chain has, I believe Toal's has 6 parts. And as you go through combo phases, it changes in damage and properties. But what's more important is the lunge attack, which, in Toal's case, sends him forward and also applies a defense down property.
Yeah, a single point of defense in this game is actually a lot. This game's damage formula is honestly broken.
Yeah. What you saw Ghost do there was combo canceling. He got to a specific stage in his combo on the ground and repeatedly spammed movement and attack and stayed at that same stage of the combo instead of progressing forward in it. And it allowed him to more quickly keep those enemies grouped up and deal damage to them effectively. And now he has wind magic, so get ready for the super slidey zooms.
I think you're about like 10 seconds behind. So yeah. Godspeed is the first form of magic that Toal gets. I just did a little skip there that saves a bit of time. So I can't proceed through this room. We'll be coming back here later. But Godspeed is sort of a wind-based dash ability. And so lunge has a little bit of a delay at the end, as does... and regular movement, Godspeed is not super efficient, but if you change lunge into Godspeed, it actually enhances the distance the dash gives you, as well as it gets rid of the little delay at the end of the lunge, so it is the most optimal form of movement. Big shoutouts to Teleyanis who found this out. So there's another trick we're going to be doing very quickly. You're going to see a recurring theme in this game, where this game is really, really broken. As is the next game, but we'll get to that later. Okay, I was going to go for a skip here, but I need to kill enemies to make this work. So, if you use Godspeed and you aren't actually moving, like if you jump, you hold left click, you jump, and then you let go of the mouse, and there's no enemies nearby, Godspeed will actually shoot farther. So I'm able to make a jump there that I shouldn't be able to. The other important property of Godspeed is that a couple of frames of the Godspeed animation has no hit detection. This is as broken as it sounds, because this allows you to clip around the seams of almost everything in the game. So you just clip through gates, doors, walls, you name it.
I should mention that this is being played on the PC version. There is a PS4 and Xbox One version of this game, and they are both mildly faster just due to the fast forward function. However, you do not have the precision that a mouse brings for several of these skips, so a lot of them are just strictly not possible.
Yeah, if you're playing at a top level on the PS4, you could probably beat easy Toal in an hour, but the run doesn't have quite as much dynamic to it, and also I don't own a PS4 or want to play on a controller, so we're going to stick with the PC route. It's kind of a case similar to like Final Fantasy IX, where the PC version is faster, but the run kind of loses some of the cool things about it.
Yeah. It'd be nice if they patched in the fast forward function, but I believe that was a .emu thing.
Yeah, because .emo did the port of the PS4 version. Okay, so again, we're using that no collision detection to clip around the seam of the door here. What you probably didn't notice quite yet is We actually skipped the first boss of the game because there's a whole area you need to go around to actually get the key to this door, but since we don't need it because Toal can transcend space-time, we can just clip in through here. And this room is one of the worst rooms in the game because these bats are pretty random, and you can only really do damage to them at level 2 when they're in the air. There we go. You cannot actually mimic use them. You cannot actually use a mouse on the PS4 version. Like even if you have like a mimic thing, a thing that mimics mouse and keyboard, you can't really do it. Yeah, the bat luck was pretty bad. It's fine. I'm kind of rusty at this game, but I can just kind of hop in and do a run at any time. Alrighty, so Delphi, you want to explain Unica Skip?
So, Unica Skip involves walking into this trap room, going into boost mode, which I'll explain later, and using God Lunge to escape through a barrier using a precise position and precise timing, and got it in his first boost.
Yeah, that saves about 20 seconds over having to leave the room. And I got the lunge too. That lunge tricks me up sometimes. So you might notice that jump attacks actually do a lot more damage than ground attacks. That was why I was doing them on the bats. I don't know why it is. This game has a lot of quirks. I genuinely love this game to bits, but it does have a lot of design quirks.
Yes, so that Unica Skip skips an incredibly lengthy cutscene with one of the best characters in the game. But
yeah, it saves about a minute and a half to get it, so it's worth it to keep trying for. Alrighty, so once again we can clip around 2 things in this room, so I'm not going to bother killing the red bats. Ordinarily you need to kill red enemies to get past these purple barriers, but I can clip past this barrier with a well-timed God Lunge, and then with a bit of a precise Godspeed, I can get through this door. Unfortunately, these bats pull my Godspeed in, so it makes it a little awkward getting in here. So here's effectively the first boss of the run, the second boss of the game overall, but we don't have to worry about him. Yes, Origin does have wall running. I'll explain wall running in a bit later. So what Delphi was talking about with boost, I'm actually using that a decent amount in combat. It's a really, really useful ability. Go ahead and explain boost.
yeah, so boost, first off, the very immediate effect is you get a bunch of iframes right at the start, and then you get a defense boost and some kind of offensive boost. In the case of Toal, he gets around double the number of hits on all of his attacks. As well as it changes his ground combo. The other major thing is it adds multi-hits to a lot of his magic, which makes them deal a lot more damage.
Yeah, so the strat for this fight, which is Velagander, is to stay the hell away from the spludge that the little worms that he spits out leaves on the floor. Jump attack his face and kind of weave in Godspeed attacks in between. And then make sure that I clear the cycle, because you have to do 4 cycles to kill him. Make sure that I clear this before he eats the bugs, because if he eats the bugs, he heals. If he eats more than like 1, he will like heal enough that I miss a cycle entirely. And that's the first boss of the game. He's a bit of a pain in the butt. Not quite the same level of pain in the butt that the next boss is going to be. Oh boy, Rusty Hugo 1. That's going to be a fun fight. Yeah, there's no arc of Nepishtim in the marathon, sadly. I think only like 2 people offer it, and Ravi wanted to offer Nayuta instead. Admittedly, Arc isn't a particularly popular speedrun either, so... Anyways, so this is Epona. She's one of the Darklings who we saw earlier on in the game. Well, her and her brother, Kishgal, who I will refer to as Mr. Cutscene later. The two characters you see at the beginning work under Zava and Dallas, but everyone in this game is just kind of off doing their own thing. So her whole purpose in the story right there is to say, hey, I saw a guy who looks just like you, and Toal's like, I don't know what that is, and he's like, I know exactly what that is, which means that his idiot brother is also in the tower.
So right there was an example of wall running that was mentioned. If you hug the right wall and have a specific angle while running next to it, you get an enormous increase in speed that also translates to your jump height.
It's pretty much everything, actually. Godspeed,
Yeah.
jump height, fall speed, which is important for certain things, like underwater. And also jump speed, which is just not even that important, but it can help in certain tight skips. Apparently I accidentally saved a split, so my timer is red. I'll deal with that. Sorry about that.
It's very angry, just like Toal.
But yeah, so as we mentioned, mouse and keyboard. The nice perk to the mouse and keyboard is being able to get pixel-perfect setups really easily. I think in the case of Oath, it might be just Moni killed it so hard. Like, Arc, I don't think people run because it doesn't have as many cool movement options or tricks as the other two. Oath, I think it's just Moni killed that run so dead. Alrighty. So we're in Flooded Prison, and I need to kill you. I'm like forgetting my EXP route here because I need to get a couple levels before the next boss. And I missed my jump. So yeah.
If you remember from the very first run of the marathon, Oath and Velgana, this game shares quite a few similarities with it. One of the most notable being that as you attack enemies, you accrue a stacking XP multiplier. So as Ghost is hitting these enemies, he's getting more and more XP from the next enemy.
Oops, I mistimed that jump pretty badly. Okay. Alrighty, so gates are really easy to get around. This gate's actually so easy to get around, anyone can do it. A lot of the barriers in this game are not programmed with particularly wide hitboxes, so you can just skip through a lot of things regularly. Toal's just kind of special because he has Godspeed, and it has that like couple of frames of no hit collision detection, which is useful for a surprisingly large amount of things, and I'll get on to some of those later. So I'm going to boost here because I'm going to have a boost ready for the boss. That's one of the perks of easy mode. On higher difficulties, your boost meter gets reset as soon as you enter the boss arena. These slimes are really good because they also drop little potions. Delphi, you want to get into what the potions do?
So there are 3 different colors of potions, red, yellow, and blue. The red ones increase your strength, the yellow ones increase your MP regeneration speed, and the blue ones increase your defense. For the most part, we only care about the first 2. So the MP meter is the green bar underneath Toal's health that regenerates over time as he uses Godspeed.
And later magic, of course.
Yes. And the MP speed just makes it refill significantly faster. The strength is also very nice because it just straight up adds plus strength to your total, and as we've seen from Falcom damage formula in the rest of the marathon, adding flat strength is enormous.
Alrighty. So we're going to get into the Hugo boss fight. This fight you can actually get Hugo into a loop where you can kill him before he ever really can do much. And this is only doable on easy because of having a full boost at the start of the fight. But I really need MP speed bonuses and strength bonuses, which I got. And I also equipped a piece of armor specifically for this fight so I can kind of face tank him. But so this combo for this fight is something that I need to like not even move during at all. Anyway, Hugo's the good guy. He realizes his brother is a bad guy. He's here to either retrieve or kill him, so that's why he's attacking us. Alrighty, I need to focus here, because this is a little intense. Whoa, we did it. We did it, America.
Oh man!
Shoutouts to Felvisage, another runner of this game who found this combo strat. This used to be the worst fight of the run. Like, almost every runner of this hated it, to the point where I went to a marathon in California, and a runner who ran this game like 3 years ago by the name of Carulius, I ran into him just as I was leaving the event, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you speedrun East Origin as well?" "Oh yeah, I got the record recently." "Oh cool, what happened?" "Some new skips. Did you make Hugo easier?" And I'm like, "Aw, even 3 years ago they knew the pain." But that strat makes the kill a lot more consistent. Unfortunately, it does mean that there is some luck involved, because you need to get really good potion drops.
Fortunately, the potions are relatively consistent from the slime enemies. Just the problem can sometimes be carrying them all the way to the next fight.
So this is Kishgal, aka Mr. Cutscene. He kind of only shows up to waste our time. I also like what my pal Gulo2, who restreamed Sky, said about this guy. The second headband and the hair above him, it looks like he's wearing 3 headbands, and it looks like the second headband and the second set of hair is like the sprite glitching out and like projecting like a second image. So, yeah, good luck getting that image out of your head.
Oh no! Why have you done this? Oh god, I can't believe I didn't see that before. Oh no.
Alrighty,
Dang
so
it, fool.
technically you can get a little further in this part, but you absolutely need this item, the Water Dragon Scales, because it's what lets you breathe underwater. And there's going to be a lot of water sections coming up. Alright. Unfortunately, the developers in this game did not think to make the Hydra Scales like a piece of equipment or something that's just on all the time, so... Alrighty. That jump's a little tricky. I have to actually let go of the mouse like at the right time. Otherwise, it's pixel perfect. If I let go of the mouse, though, Godspeed will lock onto one of the enemies and get a little bit of extra distance. So here's kind of where we see wall running really come to fruition, because there's a lot of walls to move through in this area. And so in that treasure chest is the Emerald, which is a... basically, it lets me charge my Godspeed. Coming over here, because I'm going to warp to this statue, as well as use it to heal. So, this is actually a clip that I need to... oh, I got it first try. I need to actually use the arrow keys, because the nice thing about many of the clips in this game is you can do them if you're moving at exactly a 45-degree angle.
And just casually not caring about those bars.
Yeah, so here's kind of where we see wall running, or in this case, wall sliding. Really helps while underwater. If you can get the right angles, Toal sinks a lot faster. So it kind of speeds up what would otherwise feel like an auto-scroller. So taking a brief detour to get a Rotafruit. The first Roo, you feed him to get a Cleria ore, which gives you a strength bonus, as we mentioned. And after that, all the other ones are kind of optional, but this Roo gives me a Topaz, which makes the quick kill on the next boss really useful, or a lot more consistent. You can get it without the Topaz here. It would save about... or you can get it without the reward that the Roo gives you, which is a Topaz, which upgrades Thunder Magic, which I just picked up. But that quick kill strat is like 5 seconds faster, but a whole lot more punishing if you mess it up, so I don't go for it. And also, since I used the Dark Crystal, the Water Dragon Scales are de-equipped. So kind of a rite of passage if you run this game is you forget to equip the water dragon scales and you drown. Every runner does it once and then they're like, oh man, I feel like an idiot. There's kind of
and then you never do it again.
Hopefully. I think I've done it twice, surprisingly. But I've run this game for the better part of 3 years.
I think in my short 6 months of running it, I only did that once. And that was like one of my earliest runs.
It's usually one of the early ones. So yeah, here there's actually a nice benefit to using the angles from trying to slide on walls to increase my height. Alrighty, so these 3 guys are going to get me exactly to 129. We don't go by levels, like actual level numbers, when talking about this game. We go by how much our HP is, because level ups in this game are 100% stagnant. So every time you hit this level, you will have exactly 129 HP and exactly the same amount of strength, assuming you play the same way. Alrighty, so coming up is Dilgar, the Centipede boss. And he's an annoying piece of garbage in this game. Not as
significantly less free than he was in East 1.
Unless you're TuxDev, then he's never free in any game.
Shoutouts to TuxDev.
I love TuxDev. He's such a good guy. That one clip, we will never let him live it down.
I mean, like everyone that runs East 1 right now just that is called the TuxDev special.
Alrighty, so this is Dilgar. He has 12 or 14 spikes on his back. I forget how many exactly. I need to kill them. So first I'm going to get a couple of hits while he's on the wall, where I can. And I'm going to get on his back, boost, and then use Charged Thunderclaw, which has an area of effect damage. I did a little too early. Whoopsies. Hopefully this doesn't bite me in the butt. As an area of effect for damage. Bad angle. Well, time to spin to win. I played that out poorly. I blame the rest. So this is one of the worst bosses in the game, which I could say about a lot of bosses in this game if I'm being completely realistic here. Some of them can be real pain.
Yeah. This boss is one of the most punishing, though, in terms of if you miss up a single hit.
Yeah, it's like a minute loss.
Just spirals out of control.
If you also haven't noticed, I have the super arranged version of this soundtrack playing in the background, so some of the songs will sound a little bit more fancy than the others. That's why. But it's cool though, because there we go. It's cool though because what's his face? Final dungeon. Or sorry, Demonic Omen, I think is what the place is. The final
Demonic
area.
Core?
Demonic Core, yeah. I'm like completely forgetting about things. It's late. I haven't gotten much sleep in the last couple days. Yeah, Demonic Core has a really cool saxophone remix. Quick, somebody go to TuxDev's channel and post the clip of getting the TuxDev's.
I already have it. I already have it copied. I was just waiting for the boss to be over.
Yeah,
there you go. There's the TuxDev special.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, so what Shadow was mentioning, there was that one purple gate by the turtles that I can skip. The skip is not RTA viable. You have to kind of angle yourself specifically into the corner of the wall, and then you can maybe clip through it, but it's really not RTA viable.
It sounds about right, Claptor.
Yeah, I won't be reading chat too much because unfortunately I have to play this game in full screen, so all I have is my phone on the side. So Seta will be able to keep up a little bit better. Alrighty. So, this is Guilty Fire, the third area, and the fire area, and one of the cooler areas. So I killed those guys so they're not a menace because I need to do this skip mouse without holding mouse. We call this moveless. I don't particularly like the term, but it kind of summarizes what I'm doing. It's like I'm not moving anything. I'm just executing a input. Alrighty, so here's where we're going to get into the biggest difference between regular Toal and Toal EX. Oops. So, the developers gave Toal EX fire properties on his wind magic. What they didn't account for was that you can light these torches with this fire. You're supposed to get his skill. It's a fire tornado. That kind of gets you a little bit of. Like, kind of gives you a little mini hover, especially when you charge it up. But it also allows you to hit
invulnerability.
So it's a really useful skill, but it's locked behind a 7.5 minutes of cutscene and about a 30-second long boss, which is literally the freest boss in the game. That was janky, but that worked.
Yeah, what the heck?
That dash, though.
Yeah, I don't know how you landed that, but I mean, okay.
Completely planned RNG manipulation and all that.
Yep.
The nice thing about this game is there's very little that's actually random, so it's really consistent to run. But yeah, so there's a boss fight with the priest Shion, who you meet in the story of the game, and he's basically guarding the goddess Fina, who gets taken in that cutscene. And you have about 7 minutes worth of cutscenes, and you meet your deceased mentor and Unica's father as a ghost, sealed away in his sword, and his sword gives you the power of fire magic, basically. But you don't have to actually ever get this. You can completely beat this game without ever getting that. Part of it's because of glitches, but yeah, you can't do this in regular Toal because you don't have the fire properties on your Godspeed. But no other instances in the game do you ever really need to hover. So the torches are the only thing you would need to light. And there will be torches coming up soon again, which would ordinarily soft lock you, but Toal is kind of ridiculous, and he can just clip through the door that's otherwise locked without it lighting these torches, because you need to light the torches to unlock the door.
Basically, Toal is a cheater.
Kind of is.
TLDR.
Alrighty. So we picked up a Rhoda droplet earlier and made a detour. The big reason for that is because this Rue here gives us the, in exchange for the Rhoda fruit. Did I say droplet? That's Salcedo. The Rhoda fruit. He gives us the Ring of Ease, which reduces all MP consumption by 20%, which adds up over the course of the run when you're using a lot of God speeds.
It also adds up immediately because it allows you to just make it through this area significantly faster and more safely. So this is the Devil's Corridor.
And first try.
Oh, nice. So Devil's Corridor can only be safely traversed by demons, so that requires Toal to enter his boost state in order to avoid taking damage. Otherwise, you take damage over time, which is honestly kind of negligible on easy. Like, it still kills you pretty fast, but you can still stand in there for a solid minute or something before it kills you.
Mm-hmm. So that barrier that I skipped is actually one of the most obnoxious things in the entire game, because if you angle yourself just slightly off, and there's no good visual cue for this, by the way, it's kind of just have to guess. If your angle is off, you'll clip under the floor and fall below, which wastes time but also wastes boost, and you do kind of have to watch out for your health there.
However, it does get you the positive of hearing the origin version of the Devil's Corridor theme, which is probably one of the best songs in the game.
Yeah, so thus far we've only had to very briefly grind on enemies along the way. This is the one instance where we really need to go out of our way to grind.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Charged Thunderclaw is it immediately gives me 5% on my EX meter, so I can basically prolong it as long as I'm doing damage and getting fully charged Thunderclaws.
It also has in boost state. It also has a pretty major lifesteal effect.
Yeah,
So
it's about 1 per hit, but it adds up considerably when you're hitting 5 enemies at once.
yeah, 5 enemies like 6 times. It's pretty insane.
Oh wait, we don't actually need to grind. I keep forgetting about that part.
Oh, right.
I only need to hit to 175, which is enough to deal with this boss. Here's the easiest door to clip through in the entire game. You just gob lunge underneath it, which is relatively easy to do once you've learned how to do it, and then you position the mouse in the top left corner. Yeah, you can probably count the things you can't clip through on one hand. Alrighty, so this is Galaldi. Not as ugly as he looks in East 2, thank goodness.
Strictly not vomiting excitedly.
Alrighty. So kind of what I'm doing is maneuvering him... Oh wow, he actually punched me. Whoops. Alrighty, so I'm kind of maneuvering him to the back end of the arena here. And that's because that leads him closer to the exit. Important to note, Galaldi is kind of not particularly well programmed, even if he is a fun boss fight. If you ever jump while running away from him, you're often going to get yourself hit. And I took 2 hits there, which I didn't really want to do. In regular Toal, you can actually 2-cycle this guy, which is kind of a neat strat in and of itself. Or sorry, 3-cycle him. It's a neat strat in and of itself, but you need the fire ability. I keep forgetting what it's called.
I want to say it's
to
just...
to clip into his mouth, basically.
I want to say it's just Fire Tornado or something like that.
Also, in case you're wondering, I am deliberately taking damage. Oh my god, he double hit. What?
Yeah.
Nice
The
job,
double
Ghost.
hits are-
Nice job, Ghost.
The double hits are pretty rare, but they happen if you are hit by the the first tick of the AoE, and then also hit by the head or something like that. It basically, because iframes don't exist in Falcom land, you can get hit by the same move that should only hit you once, twice.
Alrighty. So I am deliberately taking damage here to deal more damage. I just got kind of unlucky and got double hit twice. Also, while you're in a jump attack animation, you can't be hit stunned, which is really nice. I mean, come on, you saw his health bar. He died. He died there. He's totally died there. Yeah, so one thing I haven't touched on is boost replenishes faster the lower health you are at. And it's kind of logarithmic, so the lower, when you're at like 1 HP, it fills extremely fast. So I'm deliberately taking damage, but I know how to control it to where I don't die. That's just I'll say it, that's just never happened to me before. Wouldn't be a marathon without one of those.
Boost also cuts the incoming damage by around half.
Mm-hmm.
So
round it down.
he can, yeah, something like that. So he can take more damage while boosting. Not to mention he has it up more often. So as he gets lower, it becomes almost safer. Also, this is Unica, the girl that we skipped at the start of the game. We gave her a sword that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and so in that act, she comes to thank us because in the first cutscene, Toal, being kind of the anti-villain type character, I don't know, he's kind of just doing his own thing. He says, like, he knows her father, and she's like, "Are you the one who killed him?" And Toal's like, "And if I am?" She tries to kill him then and there in a fit of rage, and Toal just easily knocks her unconscious. So, in saving her life in the demonic corridor or devil's corridor, she realizes, hey, you're not such a bad guy after all. And Toal's like, no, I'm evil still. I don't know. I can't really even get too much into the story because so much of it gets skipped.
So Toal EX means that this is an alternate version of Toal that you unlock via the arena and other post-game modes.
Yeah, it would kind of almost maybe slightly be comparable to a New Game Plus, but that just means you have to beat the game a few times to unlock this. You have to beat it as every character and then unlock it through arena mode.
And
but the biggest reason why it's its own separate category is because of the lack of need to grab Fire Tornado, which changes the route a fair amount, because there's a few skips that you have to find workarounds for, like the first skip that we're going to actually do in the next area. The other thing is it's not there for damage, so certain strats that are certain boss strats that are more consistent with Fire Tornado you just don't have as an option. And then the final boss is a little bit more roundabout, because the final boss normally gates you. It's like you need to have these 3 elemental abilities in order to damage him. But there's a workaround for that, thankfully. So all around, it's about an 8-minute shorter category than regular Toal.
also cutscenes.
This is the longest one in the game. Honestly, most of the skips in this game, their entire purpose is they cut back on the anime. Alrighty. Silent Sands arranged version. I love this version. This is probably one of my top 3 songs in this game.
My only complaint is that the intro takes forever.
Yeah, so that skip right there, I don't have Fire Tornado, so I can't get up to this door really easily. This skip's pixel perfect, by the way. So I actually have a Windows accessibility feature that allows me to move my mouse cursor 1 pixel at a time. Also called mouse keys. Thanks to Fel for pointing this out, because it makes things a lot easier. And then huge thanks to Windows for actually including accessibility features in their software. And I died. Yeah, these bombs deal 36 damage.
Yeah.
Normally I'm a level higher here, but I didn't grind as much. So this movement is actually to manipulate enemy movement so that they don't get in my way while I'm attempting this skip. It's kind of a precise angle to clip through this barrier.
Yeah. So one thing we failed to mention earlier is that these red glowing enemies take significantly reduced damage, as well as do significantly more damage, all while giving you basically no XP.
Their XP is flat. This game's experience is normally curved. The other nice thing about Charged Thunderclaw is it pulls enemies in. It's also the most efficient means of damaging these guys, but I really want to be in boost mode for it. There we go.
Now
we can double jump.
Double jump.
I always felt this game played just slightly like a Metroidvania. It's not as much backtracking for stuff, but the way it gives you its power-ups is kind of similar to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Now, when's the real East Metroidvania? That's the real question.
I mean, Shin Megami Tensei got one, and that game was dope.
Yeah, still need to finish that. It's in the eternal backlog, unfortunately.
So, as soon as we enter this room, we're going to be ambushed by 6 enemies. The strat here is actually really inventive. Either I or another runner just kind of discovered it on the fly. It might have been Lost V, I don't remember. So you double jump, you do a downward slash, and then you do a single Thunderclaw, and they just all die. It's the most efficient way to kill them, because it groups them together and then slam dunks them.
What was the name of the accessibility function that you use for?
Mouse keys, actually. So
okay.
it's a Windows function that you can go to in the accessibility options, and it allows you to use the numpad to move the mouse cursor 1 pixel at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there you go, Jado. That's what it's called.
So this is Rhea, one of the 2 goddesses. She has access to the Black Pearl, which is more of a plot element explored in East 2. It's not really in East 1. And it's kind of a dark, powerful MacGuffin of plot device and great, dark, magical power. That's really all you need to know. So, Toal's mission is to steal it, but because he actually loves Rhea, and I mean, like, they kind of have a thing, he hesitates here. And he's also been hesitating this entire game because he started off evil and then has just slowly developed into, like, I'm not sure what I should be. I gave my soul to become a monster. So, in his hesitation, he lets her go. So we cannot just become one of the Pirates of the Caribbean just yet. I don't know who made that joke. I never thought it was particularly funny, but I always found it just amusing enough that I always reference it.
Yeah, I don't remember where that came from, but I always heard it when I got into the speedrunning community for this game.
Yeah, so she's gonna escape with the Black Pearl, but she's still looking in the tower. I forget exactly why. There's a reason she's here. Yeah, so the music here is actually the, it's from the, Super Range version as well. It's not normally Rhea's theme. Alrighty, so coming up here is a skip that I don't actually have to do. If I mess it up, it loses time, but it looks kind of swag, and it kind of just proves that everything in this game is skippable, so I'm going to go for it anyway. So the reason you see me god lunging through a lot of things is because the lunge actually kind of enhances the distance that between, like, for that, like, 2 frames that Toal doesn't have collision when using god speed. Essentially, lunging, like, doing a god lunge enhances Toal's ability to perform skips at the cost of pixel precision. There I use a precise angle to slide along the wall to make that jump. And now this platform's set on a timer, so I don't have to worry too much about getting back there quickly. If this guy's here, I'll try and kill him, but it's not always worth it to do so. Just a little bit of free XP while I'm there. Alrighty, so Delphi, you want to explain Amber Key skip?
Yeah, so this skip, if memory serves, every single runner has a different setup for this particular skip. Oh no, that man, am I getting these mixed up?
No, that is actually true.
Yeah.
And what that skip does is it saves about 4 minutes of just cutscenes, because you go to Rado's Annex on the side and just watch a ton of cutscenes. Toal doesn't even have a Genocris boss fight in this game. Alright, so this is a little precise. You thought we could clip through doors? Well, we can also clip through walls, because inward-pointing corners have really janky collision, and you can just clip through them if there is something on the other end, which in that case it is. So it allows me to reach this Claria ore really quickly. Alrighty, I'm going to try for a really cool strat here, but I'm probably going to mess it up because it's a little tricky. So. Yo, we got it. Nice. That jump is really hard. So normally the game wants you to grab an item called Earth Dragon Scales to move on this sand, which for some reason is like ice physics. But we can just skip doing that. It's almost like a developer-intended skip. Oh darn, I aggroed this guy. I'm gonna reset the room.
Yeah, the red Donkey Kong is not kind for this skip.
So that's the name for him. So if you wedge yourself right into the wall here, and then do a well-angled Godspeed, you can just skip through that. Alrighty, so I just jumped over a boss trigger, because now that I have double jump and Godspeed, I can wall run and get enough height to jump over his trigger, which does not actually... It actually has a pretty low vertical placement, so you can just jump over it, and that wall there is not solid. That boss fight is kind of evil, so it's a good thing we skipped it.
Yeah, similar to Nick Tilger's Revenge from East 1. That boss is Consklard, which, if you remember the East 1 run, that was the ball with all of the rocks floating around it that you just ran in circles to kill. In this case, it's a giant sandworm.
I think Consklard just takes the shape of things around it. It's like a sandworm that like opens up a pearl in its mouth that you have to hit, and it has like these little starfish that it just shoots up that heal it over time. It's a really silly and nasty boss fight, and I'm way too underleveled to kill it, so I would have had to load up a backup save if I had messed that up. But yeah, fun fact, they've taught many casual people, like probably like 3 or 4, how to just skip that boss fight, and they always get a kick out of it. It's one of those like showing people in their casual playthrough a trick to skipping it. Alrighty, so this is Blighted Blood, also known as two-hit kill, which is a term that I just made up because everything in this area will just completely destroy your health. So we're going to do a lot of grinding on the way up this up here. Thankfully, one charged Thunderclaw kills these little scythe gnome thingies, and they give a ton of EXP.
I don't know why I always saw them as like the toy soldiers from Soul Blazer for whatever reason.
I don't know. Nobody knows what these things are.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess that they're Pictomos's babies or something like that, because they show up in that fight. But
oh god, wow, rude.
Oh, what the heck?
Just
that charge.
Just slammed right at me. Alrighty, so this jump's a little precise. I got the wall run there to get over it, but the second one's a little trickier, and I knew I wasn't going to get that as soon as I saw the jump. Okay. Alrighty, we just barely made it over, but it's good stuff.
It just saves the time of hitting a switch and watching it pan over and show you that, hey, by the way, the spikes are down.
Yeah, if you fail it more than like 2 times, it doesn't save time, but there's so many swag strats in this game that are just fun to go for that do save time, so I kind of try and always go for them. So shoutouts to the easiest door clip in the game. This one I didn't actually know the setup the first time I went for it, and I just kind of guessed, and I got it like first try.
So easy, Unica can almost do it. Which, by the way, Toal is the only one able to do 99% of these skips. There are 2 total skips that all of the characters can do, and I think there is exactly...
The boss skips are among them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this room, these guys take no damage from me, but there's conveniently a toxic pool right next to them, so we do it... an old runner of this game by the name of Spoody Biscuit refers to as pool party strats by just using Thunderclaw's pull to like suck them into the poisonous water and then just have them die on their own. They're not worth any experience anyway, so nothing is lost by doing this, and it makes that room considerably easier. So this door used to be really annoying to clip through, but thanks to God lunging, it's really easy now. Anyways, so we're at tier 2 armor and no boots. Everything kills us in 2 or 3 hits, so we're gonna grab a little bit of armor just for safety purposes. And this is gonna be really useful going into endgame. Because remember, single points of stats do like a lot more than they should in this game's formula. Alrighty, so I wanted a full boost there. I'm a little low on EXP, but I'll catch up very, very quickly.
It always amazes me like how much distance a charged God Lunge covers.
These enemies give more experience relative to the portion of the game you're in than any other. It's not uncommon to level up like 4 times on this screen alone.
So that right there was just another example of, while running, letting you jump way higher than you really should.
Yeah, and the other thing is if you do it into a corner, it also works. Like if there's a corner and you're running into it at a specific angle. So here I want to grind up to 267. That's because the next boss skip I don't have a way to save, and I would have to do the fight if I mess it up.
Practically 0% you can.
There's no way to clip out of bounds in this game. If you ever get out of bounds, the game resets you to like invisible, like a position that the game last remembers you being at. It doesn't really tell you where this is, but sometimes when you accidentally like do something weird, your character will just reset to a weird position that you're like, I was here like 2 seconds ago. Alright, really easy door to skip. Now, this is one of the hardest tricks in the game. And I messed it up. Okay, I didn't get quite enough height there. You have very little room to work with to try this.
Yeah, that skip is incredibly difficult. But now we get to see one of the more interesting bosses in the game.
Also, his sound effects just seem to have vanished for me, and I don't know how to get them back. So he's going to jump, and we're going to God Lunge over to the side, because if he jumps to the side, it minimizes the distance we have to travel to get back at him. Now he's going to start spitting out his little baby boys that heal him.
Tossed on the volume for a second. What the heck? That's so weird. That just don't have sound effects.
Alright, hopefully I don't die.
Yeah. So when Pictomos dies, it heals
There we go.
proportional to the number of... Okay.
Alright, so right now I'm going to try and get just next to this gate here, because that's where we have to go next. Because you have a little bit of time to move during that cutscene. Little optimization there. Yeah, Pictomos is a really annoying boss fight. On higher difficulties, he will often heal several times. Alrighty, 3 minutes of cutscene. Delphi, spout off as many facts that you know about Jackie Chan as possible. I'm kidding.
Well, all I know, the only one I can think of is recently released Tekken character Lei Wulong. Basically copies Jackie Chan's fighting style from all of his movies ever.
Okay, so to explain really what's going on in this cutscene, this is the moment where Toal finally decides that he wants to be a good guy, and Riaz has appeared before him, like... and of course, she's just letting him know about, emotional stuff. And Toal's like, I'm a coward, I'm a weakling, but I want your help, I want to go back. And of course, he's been stalling her just long enough that, yeah, the bad guys are going to show up here very quickly. This whole exchange is kind of nice. But, of course, red text means evil, and the red texters appear behind us. Also, Dallas tempted our idiot brother with power to defeat Toal, because our idiot brother is kind of a jealous young man. And now his power has kind of consumed him. And Dallas and Zava decide that they're going to turn on Toal because they no longer need him, and because he's very clearly betrayed them. And here Toal takes 6 laser beams like a champ.
Just like sits there and takes it. Doesn't even move when he has the best movement tools of the entire cast.
I mean, he did try and attack Hugo, but
Yeah.
that didn't work out so well. Also, you'll notice that a lot of characters in this game can teleport, but they never teleport when they need to.
Also, they like to teleport really short distances. Like Hugo teleporting all of 3 feet.
So this is the priest, Xion. We don't almost kill him this time, so he thanks us and decides to heal us and let us in as part of the group. He gives us an item called the Lila Shell, which in other characters it's sort of a tool meant to like guide you in case you forgot what to do. It's more of a symbolic gesture in Toal's story because if you're playing as Toal, you probably know what to do to beat the game, because he is only unlockable once you beat either Unica or Hugo, which means probably Unica. Alrighty, it's time for Demonic Core, and I'm going to shut up because there's some really cool saxophone in this version of the song. I'm sorry to butcher it with the sound effect, but this is still the fastest movement. Oh, I clipped into a corner there. Or got stuck. Alrighty, so I'm gonna start doing a little bit of EXP grinding here on these slimes. They're worth a lot of EXP.
They also can inflict
Confusion.
I think it's just confusion that these guys can inflict, and that is really obnoxious.
Yeah, confusion reverses your control scheme.
Which...
On mouse and keyboard is awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna forget to equip this because that is run over if I do.
It's about like 3 times, 4 times the armor of your previous piece of equipment. It's insane how much defense you get from that in comparison.
Yeah, so this is really one of the easiest skips to do in the game. They actually didn't know how to skip through that door for a while, and then they found out you literally put your mouse on one of the 4 circles on the door. It's like it's telling you to point your mouse here almost. And so this is Mr. Cutscene again, here to prolong the game. And there you can just kind of see like the second half of his head clipping out of his first headband.
I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh. Yeah. So this is... Oh, sorry, man.
This is a really annoying boss fight. You can talk all about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to focus on doing damage.
This is one fight that differs very heavily from the normal variant of Toal, because as you can see, Kishgal wields ice magic, and we don't exactly have fire magic to counteract this. So it means that he can cover up a lot of the arena and make it very hard to move around. As well, he just kind of breaks out at combos and likes to interrupt you and deal a ton of damage.
Yeah, you really want to use boost there to kind of face tank him, but that strat's a little difficult, and if you try and play that fight as intended, it gets even more ridiculous.
And now you get the rod, which
would have a way cooler name if it wasn't for the fact that this is based on a game that came out in the 80s.
Yeah. And now here's an FMV that gets skipped.
No, you actually can't kill Mr. Cutscene because Toal decides, I don't want to kill you. There's no point. And Kishkal gets really mad that we don't finish him, so he says, you're gonna regret this. Because Toal just kind of says, I can control my demon, you can't. And then Unica cutscene powers activate.
Yeah, maybe she's the one that went and beat up Shion and got the sword.
We don't know where that sword came from. We don't even know if it really exists, and maybe maybe it's just a figment of our imagination, and she could always use magic.
For all we know, she just shot a phoenix out of her fist or something like that.
I mean, it would be the weirdest thing to happen in this series.
Yeah.
Alrighty, more saxophone, more me shutting up and listening to the music. I'm gonna try for this. This is a very precise skip, but it's fun to go for, and if I can maybe get it like once. Alright, I'm gonna go for it one more time.
Oh, I remember what this skip is now.
There we go. So I didn't actually I lost time going for that, but it's a way to kind of use awkward inward pointing angles to kind of clip through corners, and anyone can do that, not just Toal. This is a skip that only Toal can use. Again, exploiting inward pointing corners. Oh no, I didn't get the Godspeed there. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to do this as normally. It saves about 5 seconds. You can clip through that corner and fall to the room below, which saves about 2 of these mirror cutscenes. Thankfully, I have these memorized from just years of running this game, so this is meant to be kind of a maze.
Yeah.
So right here is the last Clarior.
In case you haven't noticed a theme, this game has a lot of do what you did in East 1, except this takes place before it.
Mm-hmm.
So
albeit
very
it's in a
similar
different
mermaid.
yeah. Although it is in a different engine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna just you know what? Screw it. I don't even know if that got it or not. So this fight's kind of free, but there's a really cool quick kill that you can do. And for the record, if you know what you're doing, this fight's free on all difficulties. But when I say if you know what you're doing, I mean kind of cheat.
Yeah.
I'll get into the explanation for it later. I need to see if I actually got the trick or not. Yes, every boss in this game is a boss from East 1 or 2. Or in this case, a boss from both. Because Zava's in East 2, and the 2 heads she's about to summon are probably the most annoying boss in East 1. So this is Omulgun, and I forget the other guy's name.
Yoglex.
Yeah. The only thing I know about these guys is the face that they're making is Bowie's face when he wakes up in the morning. I'm not going to explain that joke. There's like 3 people here who get that. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little self-indulgent with these things. And I cannot seem to hit her because actual perspective on this is awkward. Oh hey, I did get the trick. So you'll notice I am not taking any damage at all. In some of these fights, specifically fights with these humanoid-looking characters, like Zava, Hugo, if you enter the boss fight on that like particular frame of no hit detection, you will have no hit detection during the boss fight. Alright, we're going to try and go for a Zava quick kill. I got hit detection back by colliding with one of the faces. It's weird. It's a janky trick, but it makes this fight like even more free. So the idea is once Zava goes into one of the heads, you knock her out, and then once she's been knocked out, you need to kind of just perpetually stun lock her and prevent her from getting back up. Like, as soon as she shoots back up, you hit her with a charged Thunderclaw and she gets downed. If you don't, she has a rather lengthy attack that wastes quite a lot of time. But she decides to go full rage quit mode and just say screw you, and summon a bunch of knights here. But of course there are more a bunch of more useless scrubs. This guy Galleon was the first boss of the game that we skipped.
And I suppose we didn't even mention that there was a first boss in the Wailing Blue that just didn't happen.
So these are all characters that you see in Unica's story. They play more importance there. They were basically all Toal's friends at one point. Alrighty, time for one of the best songs in the game, like originally in the game, to kick in. Title theme, let's go.
Genesis Beyond the Beginning.
There's these really annoying enemies here who like to pull me in, and I kind of need to shoot past them. On the plus side, there are some of these enemies that leave goop on the ground, and because I don't have Earth Dragon scales, I can slide on this goop and sometimes get what is called a super slide. It's a nice, kind of random, like unpredictable speed up. That'll save a little bit of time if I can get it, but it's not really something I try for unless like I just happen to get it. So I do need to hit that switch. Ordinarily you can use a Fire Tornado to skip that gap, but I don't have that, so... Oh hey, nice little speed up.
Nice super slides.
Alrighty. So, like everything else, the red door in this room can be skipped. I really want boss, or full boost here, and this door has one of the jankiest... It has some of the jankiest collision, because this part's clippable, and then you can kind of just brute force your way through this door with God lunging at a precise angle. Okay.
Yeah, collisions.
And there's a backup strat here.
Yeah. Oh. Hey.
There we go. Alrighty, let's not fail this, because I'm gonna have to load a backup save if I do, and that invalidates the run. Okay, I didn't point it far enough. Okay, let's see. This is about pixel perfect. Oh hey, we got it. Nice. Second try. So now I'm going to enter this fight with no hit detection, and it really matters in this fight because, as we saw in Hugo 1, he likes to move around, create barriers, and shoot lasers. Only this is the souped-up version of Hugo, which is really annoying. So by entering this fight with no hit detection, this fight is literally free as long as I never use Godspeed. Because if I use Godspeed again, I'm gonna get hit detection back. Strangely, even though I don't have hit detection, my attacks still have hitboxes, which means he's not going to be able to do a thing to me, but I can beat the ever-loving tar out of him. So, if I had one word to describe this fight, it would be catharsis. It's just so satisfying after how much trouble it is to learn this game, especially on the older strats, and get good at killing Hugo 1. And then just having a fight with Hugo that's completely free, because you can literally walk through him and he does nothing to you.
And this is cathartic even if you've only played this game casually, because Hugo 2 is an enormous wall for the casual playthrough.
Also worth noting that this allows it to be really easy for me to have max EXP boost. So killing him shoots me up about 4 or 5 levels. We might still be under 125 pace. That's actually pretty good. Given that I died twice.
Died twice, had an extra boss fight.
Yeah, skipping Pictomos only... It actually saves, like, I want to say about 50 seconds, because the fight itself is really short, and he gives you 2 levels, so... Yeah, in Toal, like regular Toal, any percent, if you mess that up, there is a way to beat him, involving using the iframes that Fire Tornado gives you, but since we don't have that, we're basically boned if we try and take him on without lack of collision detection. One thing you're going to pick up on between this and the next couple runs that I'll be doing is I tend to run the really, really broken East games. There's just something funny and appealing to me about them, because I love these games mechanically, but I also love seeing ways that, like, the developer never intended you to beat the games. Alrighty, so I need to equip the Goddess Ring that I just got. On Toal's speedrun, unlike Unico where she gets like a free revive, Toal, on the other hand, it just gives him +5 strength and +5 defense. And that 5 strength and defense make the difference between this fight being pretty easy and it being a real pain in the butt. Like, those 5 points mean so much.
Wasn't it theorized that I also gave the Ring of Ease effect at the same time?
Yes. Godspeed only takes 8 MP instead of 10.
Yeah.
With your max, of course, being 100. It's like it says 100%, but it's like every usage uses 10 for Godspeed, 25 for Thunderclaw, and I don't know how many for Fire Tornado, like 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the skills that have guard on them typically cost 33. I don't know, it's been so long since I've seen anyone get the Fire Tornado that I don't really remember.
Yeah, ever since I started running EX, I've kind of almost exclusively run it. I probably could go back to Toal, regular Toal, and get an easy PB, but I don't know, I find the route more fundamentally appealing because you have to work with less. Anyway, so Dallas starts to unleash the power of the Black Pearl, and Toal uses the Goddess Ring to break open the barrier, and now we get to fight with a giant monstrous-looking Dallas. For the record, this boss fight also has a super arranged theme. Normally that one has like a 30-second long intro. I've cut that out, which is a little more painstakingly time-consuming than I should have been. Unfortunately, songs don't loop if you mod them into the game, so I kind of want to kill them before that happens, which I should. So the first phase, his weak spot's exposed. It's kind of to teach you how to damage him. His second phase, he's going to require me to hit him with elements. The first one's easy, it's wind. The second one's going to be fire, which is a little awkward. Thankfully, there's a way to to both hit him from behind his shield if we do a downward thrust and Godspeed at the same time. It's a little awkward to do, and he also likes to be a total jerk and leave the arena. And kind of just scooch around.
Yeah, but let it be known that at no point during this particular fight is Ghost in any particular danger. This
fight's easy. I found this fight relatively easy even on Nightmare, just from having beaten this game so many times.
Yeah, even for a first-time playthrough on Nightmare, this guy, he does not. He gets the short end of the stick on Toal's story.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, so he's supposed to have a third phase, which that third phase is you have to hit him with Thunderclaw, but because you're attacking behind the shield and doing damage to him while breaking the fire shield, you end up doing so much to him that he never gets to that part. Also, my sound effects are gone again. I don't even know what causes this, to be honest. I really need to watch out for that that giant spell circle on the ground, because if I touch it, I'm going to get sucked in. And he's going to do a 15-second long attack that does a lot of damage. It's not the damage that I'm worried about, it's more about how time-consuming it is. Alrighty, and no extra cycles. Sometimes he can give me an extra cycle, which is no bueno. Thanks for the good luck, Mr. C. It's always good to see you. This is a prequel to East 1. Alrighty. So this part of the story is exclusive to Toal's story, and establishes him as the canonical main character of this game. So Dallas tries to unleash a ton of power from the Black Pearl, more so than he can handle. But before this happens, he gets impaled with extreme prejudice.
Also, I hope you guys liked that pre-Dallas boss fight cutscene, because who's ready for some reruns?
This is about a 5-minute long cutscene. I think I timed it's like 4:50.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a
so
long cutscene.
here's some Star Wars nonsense where it turns out our father betrayed us, and our father was the reason why we were allowed to live when Saltova, our mentor, was killed in battle. Sort of his whole goal was to manipulate everyone around him to give him access to the Black Pearl. Obviously Toal is not a bad guy anymore, so he's going to kind of have to commit patricide here to save the world. This is kind of something implied and hinted at throughout the entire game, like that, you know, Hugo and Toal have a very strict by-the-books father who is very invested in a lot of the things going on in the game, but he's kind of left as a distant figure for the entire portion of the game. He's also a very powerful wizard, and he's trying to take all the power of the Black Pearl for himself. That might be the case, Yukin. But
So chat, who wore it better, Dallas or I don't even remember the name of Old Man Fact.
Kane.
Kane.
And
Yeah.
he becomes Darm Fact in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
So he absorbs the power, puts another barrier on Fina, who basically spends almost this entire game under a barrier. Or sorry, I think that's Rhea. Fina we haven't seen because we skip every cutscene she's in. Also, Toal uses an ability we never picked up, which the developer, Xseed, realized you could theoretically beat the game without getting this. So they give you an achievement for if you get to this fight without ever using Burst, which is that laser beam attack that he did. I didn't actually pick up Burst this time. I sometimes do it for swag in marathon runs. But yeah, he shoots a laser beam out of his hands. If you get to this cutscene without ever having used it, and like that cutscene is the first time you ever see Toal use it, you get an achievement. Anyways, so here's the title theme version of Genesis Beyond the Beginning, with the violin and everything. And so, a callback to East 1 is Toal's sword is the Silver Sword. Only, unlike East 1, instead of it being something that lets you damage the final boss, it's something that lets you literally shoot light energy at the boss. And kind of go crazy with power. So Toal finally gets a ranged attack here. Oh, wow.
We took him an hour 21 minutes.
This is probably the best song in the game. There's so many good songs in this game. I adore its soundtrack. Alrighty, welcome to Darm Facts. the trick with this boss is he's going to summon a giant demonic body, and inside one part of it, either its left hand, right hand, or center, is going to be the Black Pearl, and that's what we have to hit to hurt him. For the first phase, it's always in the center. And also, combo canceling lets us spam the ever-loving tar out of these spears of light. It's also really good because combo canceling fills my boost up really, really fast on this fight with all the hits that I'm getting. So here I'm going to deliberately take damage. Just because
falling off.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Falling off doesn't save time, but it does put me at lower health so that I get boost quicker. So wait for this to go down. I'm going to boost to get Charged Thunderclaw and kill the 2 parts there. I was unlucky. He was in the 3rd one here. This is one of the few areas of randomness in the game. And so right now I'm trying to just get as many Charged Thunderclaws as I can, because he heals after each cycle. So I want to maintain as much boost as I can.
Yeah, this fight always takes the same number of cycles, no matter what you do on your specific difficulty. So in this one, I believe it takes 5 total cycles.
I've never seen it go off there before. I can't actually combo cancel here. That's unfortunate.
Huh.
I caught him while he was trying to do a swiping attack. That was
Yeah,
interesting. I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, that is the furthest off screen I've ever seen Black Pearl.
Yeah, so I really want to get a full EX meter before his final phase, because after the first 4 cycles, he goes into desperation mode. Dang, I got kind of unlucky in this fight. At least he never really did the spinny attack. Oh, no, wait, I just didn't finish the left hand. I'm dumb.
Yeah,
All right,
fortunately we didn't see the
yeah, see his
the
health
other
bar is empty.
form.
Yeah, he has a third phase there that he can go into. Oh darn, I wasn't able to break out. You can actually break his shield right there and start damaging the core body before the final phase of this initiates. We didn't though, so we're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. Time is when the screen flashes white after I kill him, so I have the timer, so I'll take care of that. Time. Yo.
Dang, so close to sub 125.
I died
was a good
twice. Good run.
Yeah.
I died twice in it, and I still got almost a sub 125, so that was good. So that's Darm. He's kind of an easy boss, but I also did get lucky. He has a really obnoxious other phase that he can do, where he has tentacles on the bottom of his body that spin around, and then he shoots out a ton of little dark energy beams. It's a very annoying fight when that happens.
Yeah, fortunately that didn't, so got good patterns, but not exactly best RNG.
Yeah, there is a quicker kill you can do on the final phase of that fight, but you know, I'll take what I get. Alrighty.
So a neat piece of trivia for that though, it gets like an additional HP threshold for every difficulty you go up. So Nightmare, it takes like 9 phases to kill him. Yeah.
So I'm gonna let this cutscene play out because I have a lot of buffer time that I need to kill before Cold Steel, and as much of that as I can do away with, the better. So here's the ending of the game. I actually never really play this at marathons because usually they have to get set up for the next thing afterwards. So I'll let this play out, even though I'm turboing through the text. Nice
We can check the in-game time.
I can't actually. I can only check my own personal best there, and also in-game time doesn't really matter because remember, if you die, it like resets the in-game time.
Oh right, I forgot about that. Dang.
Okay. And so the two goddesses turn themselves to stone for 700 years in order to seal away the Black Pearl. And that's where you get the iconic image of Ys. And so Toal's girlfriend decided she would rather become stone than live with him in a world with the Black Pearl being a threat. I'm getting a real Avatar: The Last Airbender vibe here.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this cutscene's kind of sad because Unica actually the goddesses kind of thought of Unica as like their little sister, and so they were really, really close. Yes, so Falcom JDK is just the name of the group that does the music, and it's always been a revolving door. I actually think it's a really neat thing that they have like a studio team that has a name, because that means that they can kind of go through 30 years of composers and like, you know, change up names without there being that like as much of a like without them like sticking to an identity, so to speak. Because I remember a lot of people like really were not fond of like Final Fantasy when Nobuo Uematsu left them. So if Ys composition was like Yukihiro Jindo or Yuzo Koshiro for the early ones, it's like people would say it's not the same without these guys. When in essence, being able to like, you know, have new people in under the same name kind of allows them to like have a little bit more creativity with the kinds of music they make. And
In the credits, they always give the individual names of the composers. It's just that they are all under the department of the JDK.
So here we see Hugo and Unica and these other three scrubs decide that they're going to stay on the ground now that the goddesses have sort of cleared the evil from this land. And so this is all to set up for Ys 1. So here's the Rota Tree in a much more lively environment.
Well, 4 scrubs and a corpse, but we didn't run Unica, so we're not going to talk about that.
Toal is blonde, actually. He's the one in the background. So Toal's natural hair color is blonde. In sealing away the Black Pearl, his demon side has been cleansed, basically. So now he looks a lot like his brother. It's kind of annoying, because I do like the Devil May Cry meets Wolverine, like, visual style the character has. Anyways, here's where the credits would play if I had FMVs enabled. But I don't. So everything here is to be continued in Ys 1 and 2. Yeah, Toal went blonde, because he was always blonde, but then he bleached his hair when he became a demon, because that's what everyone did in the mid-2000s.